The Sacred Mass, Chapter 55, the Crown Prince's Final Duty. Helmer left the restaurant before anyone could stop him, and since everyone still had work to do, Caron was handed over to Liam to babysit. And Liam took Caron to the beach to have him relax a little, and the two sat under a shaded tree to watch the ocean surf, swimming and turning. Caron was cradling little Lishi, and he had the girl in supply bag. And right on cue, Caron started with his hurtful, insensitive question. And the first thing he asked, why did Helmer dump you? I did him harm without meaning to, said Liam apologetically. Does that happen often? Asked Caron. More times than I would like to admit, said Liam sadly. Caron's face grew darker. You never had a relationship before Helmer, did you not? I had one, once, a boyish romance. It ended with his death, said Liam, sighing sadly. Caron's face became even darker still. He had a murderous look on his face, and since Liam was staring into the ocean, he didn't realize he was in danger. How did he die? Asked Caron. My grandpa decapitated my poor Lucian, and I haven't been able to love another man ever since his death, and that is why I left Helmer, because our loveless relationship was hurting him a lot. Oh, my apologies. I had the bad habit of jumping to the worst conclusion, said Caron, laughing to himself. So when you hurt Helmer, you mean emotionally, not physically. I hurt him physically as well, but I can't help it. He's so small and won't look at me, explained Liam. But he kept insisting on me being dominant and I kept giving him wobbly legs, and I had to brace things off before I caused him any permanent rectal damage. Caron laughed heartily. That still happens to me sometimes when Allan mishandles me, and he's usually very sweet to me afterwards, as if he has committed some grave sin. How cute, said Liam happily. And how is Sylvia? Asked Caron. She keeps tabs on me, and when she's not busy, we talk or play with dolls, and sometimes she stalks me, and she feels that I shouldn't be out in public without an armed escort, said Liam. And I sent her a birthday present recently, and she sent me a thank you letter, and for now we have a pen pal type of relationship. She's very busy playing king. And what is Sylvia to you? Asked Caron. She's my daughter. Duh, man, you are so dense, said Liam. But she calls you uncle most of the time, said Caron. That is to preserve poor Geoffrey's honor, and it is bad enough that his wife cheated on him, but it is even worse that it was with his own brother, explained Liam. I have been thinking of adopting, said Caron, looking at Seabreeze. And you're a little young for that, said Liam. Are there things you want to do with your life, goals, ambitions, anything? I don't know. When I was small, my biggest ambition was to get rid of the old ogre, and I accomplished that at a pretty young age. And then I wanted Grimory to love me, and I worked really hard at it, and I grew my hair, and I wore makeup and a dress, and Grimory was known as a womanizer, and I thought that if I looked prettier, he would overlook the fact that I was a man. And Grimory turned out to be Gregory, and Gregory wasn't well, so I tried to make him happy, and I succeeded, kinda, said Caron sadly while looking at his new wedding ring. Instead of a high school, Caron had a wedding ring for Nala, and since Allan saw Caron as a woman, Allan had chosen a wedding ring over a wedding band, and the ring featured predominantly a green agate. And Allan chose it because the meaning of the stone, which represents gentleness, nourishment, and strength, and surrounding the small agate were tiny stones of angel quartz, which represented peace and tranquility. And when Allan showed his ring to Caron, Caron commented on the cheapness of the stones, and he felt pretty bad after Allan explained the meaning behind the gemstones he had chosen. And Allan had expected this reaction, so he had gifted Caron an expensive necklace and earring set. And Caron was sporting that set right now in addition to his wedding ring. And how about a trip? Asked Liam. And don't you want to go see the world? There's a civil war right now, protested Caron, and what is there to see but an ocean of death and misery? And besides, I'm comfortable here. Not everywhere's a war, said Liam, and the city-states are fine, and there is plenty of remote places to visit, and when I was young, I wanted to be a bard. I wanted to see nice places and play my violin, and it seemed like an easy, carefree life. And why didn't you pursue your dreams? Asked Caron. I was a crown prince, and we do not get to choose our destiny, said Liam. You can travel now and play music, said Caron. Nah, I have become quite sedentary, and I saw the world as king, both the beauty of it and the ugliness. I had seen enough of it. I am happy where I am right now, and we could go on a family trip, and we can check out the neighboring islands, and my tesoro is currently nearby. And what about school and the kids? Asked Caron. We'll take them too, said Liam. And their education? Asked Caron. They are not learning anything useful at school, and Julian was just talking to me the other day, and he wants to enter a craft school to learn something useful like painting. And he was caught by a theater, so he's going to be a singer-dancer. And he wasn't called out for traditional education. He's going to be pretty busy this coming spring, so we might as well take this chance to go on a trip with everyone, said Liam. So what do you think, Caron? Sounds like fun, yeah, said Caron, warming up to the idea. Yeah, let's just see new places, and it will be fun, and if anything, we can stock up on junk, and I like buying random junk. And you wonder why Allan gives you very little spending money, retorted Liam. And when Helmer gets back, we will start planning a nice trip. Helmer, after leaving the restaurant, went to see Princess Sylvia, and the two had been discussing about what to do about the Otan. And Sylvia had come up with a plan. King Sylvia took Helmer to a rendezvous spot on the tops of the gates of the Pressure Palace in Jabberwocky, the capital of Otan. And the palace showed signs of looting, but otherwise was more or less in one piece. And Sylvia was there in her silver armor, surrounded by her most trusted knights. And behind her was her bodyguard, Joshua. Joshua lifted his helmet, and Helmer smiled, seeing the familiar face. And Joshua winked at Helmer, and then he lowered his helmet. People of Otan, the civil war has gone long enough. The children of Mother have heard the cries and suffering of the civilians and have come to restore order. And know that our kingdom abolished slavery and is still functional. And rebels should not worry, your sacrifices have not been in vain, but this fighting has to stop. And behind me I present to you the Crown Prince Helmer, said Sylvia, and he commands you to put down your arms and be at peace with your brothers. The citizens of Jabberwocky breathed a sigh of relief. The Crown Prince had taken pity on their miserable suffering. The civil war was finally over. Now read this paper, Helmer, said Sylvia, handing Helmer a piece of paper. Helmer turned his back to his citizens, and on the other side of the castle the rebel soldiers were also watching him. And Joshua lifted his cloak, and Helmer hid within it, and from inside there Helmer read his royal proclamation. He was not even paying attention to anything he said, and from time to time he would stutter or fumble over the words, and he started to struggle particularly with a word that he kept repeating it over and over. And Sylvia whispered to one of her knights, "My handwriting isn't that bad, is it?" "It is perfect, my king," said a chorus of knights. "You are perfect." "Ah, you flatter me, boys," giggled Dragon King Sylvia. "Igmenios, Icominio," repeated Helmer. And a douche in the crowd said, "Does the slave prince not know how to read?" Helmer took a deep breath, and then another and another, and after calming himself, he continued to read his speech. And he was doing his final duty as a crown prince to all of those thankless bastards. And from now on, whatever happened to the people of Lothar was no longer his concern, because at least the civil war was over. After the speech, there was a huge crowd of applause and an overall sense of relief. The fighting was finally over, and Helmer did not depart right away. And he said, "There are some things I want to take from my old room." "Certainly," said Sylvia, and Joshua go with Helmer and some of the knights to pick up his things. "Yes, your highness," said Joshua, "and shall we go, Helmer?" Helmer wrapped his arms around Joshua's elbow, and he continued to hide within the coat. And the two walked in silence, and one of the former castle slaves started to trail after the crown Prince Helmer. And bowing, he said, Prince Helmer, how can I help you?" And Helmer had made his way through his familiar hallways, and he had taken that path many times, and he did not need to see where he was going to know his way. And eventually he found his living quarters, and he took a deep breath, and he made a motion to open the door to his old playroom. And since he was hesitating, Joshua opened the door for him. And Helmer was expecting to see the playroom looted, and instead all of the items were in one piece. They had been left untouched, as if those items were considered a curse. Joshua supported Helmer's fragile body, and to snap him out of it, he asked, "And what do you want to take?" "Just a doll," said Helmer. The knights of Mordred gently picked up the dolls, and they were left to find proper package for the transportation, and he added, "Well, we got everything I needed, and burn everything else, sell it, I don't care." And the knights did as they were told, and Helmer left with Joshua to speak with Sylvia. And Sylvia was sitting on top of the throne of Waldenath, barking orders, and from time to time she would caress the arms of the throne lovingly. It was truly quite the comfortable throne. And she asked, got everything you needed? Yes, said Helmer. And can I escort you back to your home? Can I escort Helmer back to his home? Asked Joshua. Sure, why not, said Sylvia, laughing. It is not as if I need a bodyguard. And why would a Dragon King need a bodyguard anyway? Right, boys? The knights laughed, and some of the rebels are fighters as well. And Helmer left with Joshua following close behind, and Helmer stumbled into his home with Joshua supporting him. And while Helmer was, he started to cry, and it became even worse the closer he got to his bedroom. That's the end of that one. Bye-bye and God bless.